Welcome to this edition of the Blues Matters podcast. This time, Paul Davies is talking to the major legend that is Slash.
Hello there. Hi.
Hi,
Hey, hi, Slash. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Yeah, it's a bit of a cold London town this end.
Yeah, I'm on my way there soon. So yeah,
Be good. Yeah. I've been listening to, the Orgy of the Damned. Is this your love letter to the blues?
um, I hadn't thought of it that way. I suppose you could call it that. It was just something that I've been wanting to do for a while. Was just do a record of blues covers with some guys that I actually used to play with a long time ago in a blues cover band back in the late '90s. And I'd always said that I wanted to record that. And I've just been so busy with so many other things for all this time. And then suddenly, in between legs on the Guns N' Roses tour, I thought, I'm going to make that record now. And I called those guys up and we put it together. And it was very impromptu and very casual and fun.
I mean, it appears to me that a lot of it was, as you say, rehearsed, but recorded, kind of raw,
Yeah.
which adds to the feel of the whole.
Yeah, everything was except for some, we had to go out and farm, get the vocals from wherever certain artists were, but the rest of it was all done in one room.
And, with the vocals themselves, were the artists with you, or had you already recorded the tracks and they were just coming in, giving their live performance?
That's what I was just saying. Some of them were, a couple of them were there at the studio when we did the record. And then the rest of them, I would have to go out to wherever they were and find a studio in that town and go in and do record the vocal over the tracks.
But how did you, what was your process of choosing singers for this album?
Pretty much the same as it was when I did the solo record with all the different singers in 2010. You have the song and you just think, who would be great to do this song? And it was very fortunate. I picked the right people and they all had a close connection with each track, the proposed track. And it went really well. It was actually very easy.
I mean, in a way, could you describe obviously what the blues mean to you? Is it the passion, the bedrock of your interest in music from
Right.
a young man?
Well, I got turned on to the blues really young, and I had no aspirations to pick up the guitar back then. But I was always drawn to it, and even though as a career, or not even as a career, but the direction that I chose to go as a guitar player was very much hard rock and very high energy and all that, but really firmly rooted in blues guitar stylings. When I first picked up the guitar was right at the explosion of the whole finger tapping and guitar pyrotechnics era when that all started. But my influences were all, from way back when, and I sort of stuck to those kind of guitar roots, even though Guns N' Roses was a very sort of hard rock, whatever you call it, band, but it's still very sort of bluesy. But anyhow, the blues is, really when I first picked up the guitar, there was blues licks that I first learned how to play.
Who were you listening to when you first picked up the guitar? Blues artists.
Well, actually, when I first picked up the guitar, it was primarily, the British blues guitar players, like were the rock players, right? So you had Jeff Beck and Eric Clapton and Page and Mick Taylor and Keith Richards and all those guys. But in learning their stuff, it turned out that their whole thing was lifted from all these guys prior to that. And I had heard all these blues players hanging out with my grandmother, who took me on to B.B. King and Albert King and Robert Johnson and all these other different, Little Walter and Lightning Hopkins and, it's just, I could go on and people.
Yeah.
And so I'd heard them before and I really liked it. And so when I got into playing like Jimmy Page licks, that's where that shit all came from. And it took me full circle. So it's been an interesting journey. And
Do you need to adapt your playing style to play the blues? Because as you say, regularly you're in the kind of a hard rock, more pyrotechnical, group with Guns N' Roses. Is it an easy transition for you technically?
Well, I know the pyrotechnic part was never my thing, but the volume and the high energy and all that. And so, with blues stuff, I sort of do it my way. It's maybe not as high velocity as Guns N' Roses, but it still probably has a certain style that is as recognizably me. It's a little bit aggressive at times, but at the same time, the thing about blues that I love is just the feel of it. And that is something that I really gravitate towards, obviously, when I'm playing it. And so it's not really an adapt. It's just a kind of a more laid back feel. But the band that I'm playing with are really great blues players. And so I just naturally fall into it.
I mean, did you find, there's more, Johnny Griparic and the Davies, the chemistry was still there. I mean, blues wise on these things, you kind of just hit it off again quite easily.
Yeah, no, we just got into a room and it all came together very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about the Pusher with the old Steppenwolf song which you played with the with your blues sport. I mean, Chris Robinson just gives an unbelievable vocal rendition of that, doesn't he? And
he actually blew my mind when he came in and did that. He only ran through the song twice, and he did 2 different kind of versions of it, and that's one of them. And he played the harp solo live, so vocal and then solo, and it was really magic,
Yeah, same with Beth Hart, on Stormy Monday. It's just like she's a very passionate performer, and it's just puts it all in there, doesn't she?
Yeah, that was another moment. She came in. That was really just a rehearsal take, and she just sang the shit out of it in that one take, and she was done for the day. It was so intense. There was no cause to really revisit it. For the band, though, we were just playing it for the first time in the studio since we had left rehearsal, and we were just feeling it out. And then she came in and just sang it. And off we went. So that's a very cool, spontaneous track.
I mean, also, Northful Dream with Iggy, it's just something demonic about it. It's just, like a kind of like, an out-of-body experience just to listen to him do all that. Did he just come in and do that, or did he give direction?
That was the one song on the record that was chosen by the singer, because I hadn't planned on doing anything with Iggy, but I'd heard that he had been interested and always wanted to do a blues thing. And I didn't know that, but I called him up when I heard it and I asked him about it. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, if you were going to choose a track to do, what would you do? And Awful Dream was the song. So I listened to the original Lightning Hopkins version, and it's a real rough throw together outtake. And so I was like, okay, well, I get the basic idea, and didn't even really learn it, just sort of got the idea of it, and went into my studio in LA with Iggy, and we just sat on a couple stools and did it just live like that. And he was fucking great. And his mimicking the harp solo at the end is brilliant.
And the same with Brian Johnson as well. It's good to hear him singing, back on, recording, and Killing Floor. Was that his choice, your choice, or
that was my choice? But he very much was influenced by Howlin' Wolf and loved the idea of doing the song. It actually seemed like it was a great outlet for him, and so he relished doing it. It was fun. That was a fun session.
And Paul Rodgers, I'm not sure, but have you played with Paul before?
Yeah, no, I've actually known Paul a long time and worked with him. And as soon as I knew that I was going to do this record, he came to mind immediately. I think he was probably one of the first people I thought of. And I wanted to do Born Under a Bad Sign, so I automatically thought that was this track that I would want him to do. And he did a beautiful version of it. It's really sublime.
I mean, did the band Free with Koss and, or inspired you as an early...
Well, I was always influenced by Kassoff, and I think that's one of the things that Paul recognized in my playing when I first started working with him.
Yeah. I mean, do you have to pinch yourself sometimes, with,
Yeah, it's such an honor, and it's such an honor and so humbling to be able to work with some of these people. I mean, with all of them, but especially the ones that I have been listening to since I was a kid, and who have been part of the fabric of my, sort of music existence ever since I can remember. To be able to get them to work with me on something is really, it's fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. What was Billy Gibbons like, Hoochie Coochie Man? I mean, it sounds like you're having such a great deal of fun on that track.
Yeah, Billy's great, and Billy and I have been tight for a long time. And he was funny because I told him I was going to do this a version of Hoochie Coochie Man. Would he play on it? And really, in the beginning, he wasn't so sure, because he didn't know if I was going to bastardize the song. He didn't know what kind of version of it, what the hell it was going to be. And I finally did a demo of it, and I was persistent. And I did a demo of it for him, and he heard it and was like, oh, okay. So he went and did an amazing vocal. I can't imagine anybody else doing that vocal, and put a fucking great guitar solo on it. And
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, Demi Lovato out a little bit out of her own comfort zone. Pop Up as a Rolling Stone. I think you hear another completely different aspect to her, don't you? Wonderful.
And that was the whole reason for asking her to do it. I wanted to get this sort of young female voice to sort of tell this story about the estranged, infamous father. Infamous late father, however you put it. And she just came to mind, and I know her, so it was I could easily approach her about it, and it clicked right away when I brought the song up. She knew the song, and she related to it on a personal level, and she came in and just fucking put her heart and soul into it, and it really has a different, because I played that song with Johnny Griperic way back in the day in one of the iterations of Snake Pit that I had.
Yeah.
And we did a version of it with a singer then who's an amazing singer named Rod Jackson. And he had a really great soulful voice and did a perfect interpretation of the Temptations. But having a young girl's take on it really gave it a whole other kind of poignancy. Yeah. And I thought it was pretty effective.
I mean, was there any, was these 12 dozen songs what you recorded? Were there anything left over, from the sessions?
No, I mean, there was nothing left over from the sessions, because when you do a record like this, you have to earmark the songs and who's going to sing them and focus. And so you basically have the songs you want to do. And fortunately, we managed to get everybody that we needed to get all those songs done. There's other songs that we didn't do that are part of the repertoire, and they'll be a part of the tour when we do it.
Yeah.
But these were, these particular songs I chose to do to record the record, and I managed to get everybody I wanted to get on them.
I mean, for you, playing Go Well and No Peter Green so well, that famous riff, it's with Chris Stapleton singing as well, or something out of his comfort zone too. I mean, so that's just a great, version of it,
Wow. And I've always wanted to, I think I've noodled that riff around for years, for decades. But I've never really played it from one end to the other with any band that I've been at. And so it was really great to sort of actually take that on and do it. And then Chris doing it was just this idea that I had, was sort of in the 11th hour. I thought, Chris Stapleton, I was familiar with him really because he opened some shows. I mean, I'd heard him before. I thought, God, that guy's an amazing talent. But when him and his band opened up for Guns N' Roses on some shows, and he is just phenomenal. So that was always in the back of my head. So, putting that song together, I thought, Chris's kind of drawl would be fucking amazing. And Chris and I don't know each other, and he was one of the few people that I hadn't actually met before. And I got his number and cold called him, and he was really gracious and generous about the whole thing. And he like at one point we had a session, and then he got really sick and he couldn't do it, and he made sure that he came back around and got it done. It's great.
Could there be a Orgy of the Damned Volume 2 in any shape or form going forward? Another album?
I mean, I don't have any plans for it at the moment, but that definitely could happen. I mean, realistically, this album is sort of a cousin to the one I did in 2010 with all the different singers, different music, but similar format. So who knows? I'll probably do something. I don't know if it's going to be Orgy of the Damned or if it's going to be, jazz fusion. I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
Probably not jazz fusion though.
So the Serpent tour is coming over, and you're giving back to a lot of artists and taking them, around. You're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's great because it's a vehicle for me to be able to go out and play this music in earnest. Yeah. 'Cause normally I just jam it impromptu and bars and whatnot. It's always one-offs here and there. But this is like a dedicated tour that I can go out and play like this every night with some great players, but also with all these other great artists. So it's going to be a lot of fun and a great learning experience for me too. There's some amazing players on there.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what I'm doing. So it's a bit of an adventure,
I must say, if you don't mind me saying, ever since your sobriety, you've become a workaholic, haven't you? You've gone from, it's like you trying just to catch up on lost time or time,
I just
cram everything in.
A busybody and I would get inspired to do stuff and I just do it. I'm not really good at sitting around. That was my problem before. Was we'd be in between tours or something. I just didn't know what to do with my time.
Yeah.
But so, I like to stay active.
And finally, how did you hook up with Gibson Records? How did that come about?
When I was doing the last Conspirators record, I've been my own label since 2010.
Yeah.
And I started, going out to the different distributors to make deals for the global release of the record,
Mm-hmm.
And Gibson came up and said that they were putting together a label and may be interested in doing this record with them, which sounded like too perfect to be true, but it actually turned out to be very perfect without any issues.
Yeah.
It's been great partnering with them. It's not a corporate thing. That's one of the reasons I don't like using regular labels. They're rooted in music and we're partners on it, and they really did a great job to promote the last. So yeah, it's a good partnership.
That's great. Well, I think, I'm almost there. I mean, it's just a fantastic album. It's like having a lot of these ingredients in that they mix really well. There's some really strong flavor of the blues on this. It's something you should be, you're obviously you must be very proud of.
Well, I am. I haven't listened to it. We finished the record. We did it last year, and I knew that it wasn't going to come out for a long time, so I stopped listening to it after it was mastered. Just because if you're going to wait that long for the record to release, you don't want to sit around because you have a tendency to pick at it. So, but I remember it was pretty cool. And since the Brian Johnson track came out, I've heard that and it sounds great. And so, yeah, I'm really just eager to get out there and play these songs and just do the whole experience.
And revisit it. Well, thank you so much for your time, Slash. I know you're busy. It's a great conversation. Appreciate it.
Well, it was good talking to you. Cheers.
All the best, mate. See you later. Ta-ra. Yeah, ta-ra.
Remember to like, share, subscribe, and check out the new digital Blues Matters magazine. bluesmatters.com. Check it out.